In this video, we will discuss an important conversation about Sahara Desert. The name Sahara actually comes from the Arabic word for desert. In Arabic, the desert is named Al-Sahara al-Kubra, which means the Great Desert. The origins of the Sahara Desert, the largest hot desert and the largest desert in the world, date back to approximately 600 million years ago. The sea submerged the region over and over again, depositing its sediments. Whenever it resurfaced, it was alternately covered by forests, savannas and even marshlands. During that time, trees, such as oaks, cypresses, olive trees and Aleppo pines, grew in the area. Approximately 50 to 55 million years ago, these lands surfaced once and for all and the land started to get dry, as many finds still attest. Shells, trunks now turned into stone after a long silicification process, wall paintings and graffito portraying the typical fauna of the savanna. The Sahara Desert inspired dreams of camel riding and marvelously carved out dunes. The desert is one of the most famous in the world, and witnessing it in real time is an opportunity you can't miss. The Sahara Desert fills almost the entirety of Western Africa and covers 11 countries. It blankets large parts of Algeria, Chad, Egypt, Libya, Mali, Mauritania, Morocco, Niger, Western Sahara, Sudan, and Tunisia. The Sahara Desert's singing sand dunes are a phenomenon that even have researchers stumped. The orchestral sounds the desert emit can range from sonic booms, drumming and even whistling. The phenomenon has long been documented by the likes of Charles Darwin and Marco Polo. Some researchers believe it to be attributed to the size of sand grains or the shape of the dunes. It's a common misconception that the Sahara Desert is the largest desert in the world. It actually comes in third behind the Antarctic and Arctic deserts. This is because deserts are defined as any barren landscape with a hostile environment for plants and animals. As a result, the Sahara Desert is the largest hot desert in the world but not the largest overall. It turns out the Sahara Desert's mass landscape is a treasure trove for dinosaur fossils. Just recently in the Moroccan Sahara, paleontologists excavated one of the largest intact dinosaur fossils found in the region. Activities in the Sahara Desert can range from anything between camel riding, quad biking and sand surfing. A little less go-to than a camel ride, but still a pretty popular tourist activity, is to hire quad bikes in the Sahara Desert, Morocco. Stick a helmet on and rev up those engines as you go flying over dunes and between rocky outposts. Watch a plume of red sand fire up behind you as you spin off into the desert plain. Most of the quad biking experiences will lead you through a predetermined trail, designed for you to get the most out of your experience. Even spa resorts have become a popular attraction in parts of the desert. It is easy to envision the Sahara Desert as a huge sandbox. But sand dunes and sheets only make up 25% of the Sahara Desert's surface. The rest is made up of limestone, sandstone and other rock formations due to its location on the African Shield. Is there life in the Sahara? Deserts are defined by their hostile environment for animals and plants, but there are some signs of sparse vegetation throughout the Sahara Desert. The small pockets of oasis attract wildlife and allow some degree of life to thrive. Around 70 mammalian species, 90 species of bird, 100 species of reptiles amongst others have made the desert their home. Stargazing is one of the best things you can do in the Sahara Desert. The miles of barren land mean that little to no light pollution can obscure the sky. As a result, the entire universe becomes visible above your head. Snowfall in a hot desert may seem a contradiction, but snow has been recorded several times in the Sahara Desert over the last decades, most recently in January 2022. Thus, snowfall may be unusual but is not unprecedented in the region. In order for snow to form, two distinctive weather properties are needed: cold temperatures and moist air. The presence of snow reflects a special combination of air circulation in the atmosphere and the nature of the land surface upon which the snow falls. Although the Sahara commonly experiences very high temperatures, more than 50 degrees Celsius, low temperatures are also recorded, in particular at night, because of the bare land surface and the cloudless skies. A maximum cold of -14 degrees Celsius was recorded in Algeria in January 2005 during the Northern Hemisphere winter. Ocean on the west, the Red Sea on the east, the Mediterranean Sea on the north and the Sahel Savanna on the south. Winter air circulation patterns draw cool, moist air towards the northern Sahara from the Atlantic and Mediterranean. This results in higher winter precipitation along the Saharan fringe in this season. Over higher ground, such as the Atlas Mountains of Morocco and Algeria, rising air can cool, condense, and if the air is cold enough its moisture can freeze to form snow crystals and then, eventually, a blanket of snowfall. If the land surface is also cold, snow can persist and not immediately melt away. It is under these weather conditions, and in these mountainous areas, that snow in the Sahara can occasionally be found. The Sahara is so hot and dry that North Africa is hotter than the equator at this time of year, although it lies thousands of miles farther north. This is the only place on the planet where the gradient of hot to cold runs backward, from the subtropics to the equator. In the space of 1,000 miles, from the Atlantic coast of Ghana to the deep interior of Mali, the landscape changes from dripping jungle to searing sand. Evaporation keeps the rainforests cooler than the deserts to their north. This reverse thermal gradient affects the predominant trade winds, causing them to undulate back and forth and up and down in gigantic easterly waves from June through October. The combination of a huge expanse of roasted land and an upside-down thermal pattern allows billows of high wind to free sand and dust from the Sahara's hot surface, lofting it high on buoyant thermals and carrying it far to the west. As the air acquires a heavier and heavier burden of dust, it becomes even more erosive, sand blasting the arid landscape ever more thoroughly. The largest dust plumes are ejected westward across the tropical Atlantic. Much of this desert dust is deposited in the ocean, but some of it reaches the Americas. If global media reports are to be believed, every person who leaves their home country in Africa is heading for Europe. That's simply not true. 80% of sub-Saharan migrants are merely moving between countries on the continent. Part of these journeys involve migrating to or across the Sahara, from Mauritania to Egypt. This is not a recent phenomenon. But from the beginning of the 2000s, the media and governments have focused on the minority of people who, having crossed the Sahara, went on to cross the Mediterranean, heading for Europe. This has led to travel within Africa being conflated with economic migration towards Europe. This is a far cry from the reality that has been observed by researchers in the field. Yet this false assumption has been used to justify the implementation of restrictive migration policies within Africa. As in the Mediterranean, travel through the Sahara is now made difficult and unnecessarily dangerous by increased levels of checks and control. The result is that the Sahara has been transformed into a vast frontier zone. Here, migrants can be subjected to random checks, sorted into different administrative categories, sent back to their home countries or even arrested, anywhere and at any time. This supposedly provides an extra layer of protection for European countries, even though much of the migrants who receive such treatment in the Sahara region have no intention of traveling beyond the African continent. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, let me know in the comments below and don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.